Matthew had a mechanic named Mr. Io, who often worked on his cars. One day, Matthew visited him with an unusual request. "Mr. Io, I want to work in your shop as a mechanic apprentice. I need to live simply for a while without anyone knowing who I am." Mr. Io was shocked. "Oga Matthew, you, a billionaire, want to work as a mechanic? People will laugh at you." But Matthew was determined. "It's the only way I can find out who truly cares about me. I'm tired of living a life where everyone pretends because of my money." Matthew started his new life as an apprentice. He wore plain clothes, worked hard, and stayed in a small, modest room near the workshop. The other mechanics knew him as Matthew, just another young man struggling to make ends meet. In this simple life, Matthew found peace. Nobody knew him as a rich man, and he could observe people without the burden of his wealth. He hoped that this experience would lead him to someone who could love him for his heart, not his bank account. Will Matthew's disguise lead him to true love, or will his plan backfire? Keep watching Innocent Stories to see how this unfolds. Near the workshop was a small stall where a young lady named Caroline sold rice and stew. She was an orphan who had to work hard every day just to survive. One hot afternoon, Matthew stopped by her stall, looking tired and hungry. Caroline noticed and offered to serve him some rice. But when Matthew reached into his pocket, he pretended to be broke. "I don't have any money with me. I lost it," he said, trying to keep up his disguise. Caroline looked at him and smiled. "Don't worry. You can eat first. We'll figure out the payment later." She handed him a plate of rice and stew. Matthew was deeply touched by her kindness. In a world where people always demanded something in return, Caroline showed compassion without expecting anything. From that day on, Matthew would often buy food from Caroline's stall. She got to know him as a hard-working apprentice who seemed down on his luck. Every once in a while, when he didn't have enough money, Caroline would give him food for free. "It's okay, Matthew. I know you'll pay me back one day," she would say with a warm smile. The other apprentices noticed Caroline's kindness toward Matthew and began to talk behind his back. "Why is Caroline always giving Matthew free food? She never does that for us," they complained. Matthew stayed humble and didn't let their gossip bother him. For the first time, he was beginning to see someone who might care for him genuinely, without any hidden motives. As time passed, Matthew and Caroline grew closer. She would sit with him during breaks, sharing her own struggles of growing up as an orphan. She talked about the difficulties she faced trying to run her small business, and how she dreamed of a better future. Matthew admired her strength and determination. Unlike the women he had dated before, Caroline was sincere and didn't seem interested in material things. Have you ever wondered if true love can exist without the dazzle of wealth? This is the story of Matthew, a billionaire who hid his riches to find a heart that beats for love, not money. Matthew was one of the richest men in the city. He owned several businesses, drove luxury cars, and lived in a grand mansion. Despite all his wealth, he felt empty and lonely. Women came into his life, but none truly loved him for who he was. They were only interested in his money and status. His father, Chief Adu, always urged him to get married. "Matthew, you're not getting any younger. Find a good wife who will take care of you and give me grandchildren." Matthew nodded whenever his father spoke, but inside, he was frustrated. He had been used and dumped by so many women that he was losing hope of ever finding true love. Can a man so wealthy ever find someone who sees beyond his bank account? Stay tuned to Innocent Stories to find out. Matthew was dating a lady named Angela. She was beautiful, smart, and always said the right things. Matthew thought she might be different from the others. One day, he decided to surprise her with a visit, bringing flowers and a gift. But when he arrived at her house, he found her with one of his close friends, Dio. They were laughing and holding hands like a couple in love. Angry and heartbroken, Matthew confronted them. Angela didn't even seem sorry. "What did you expect, Matthew? I needed someone who could truly care for me. Dio might not be rich like you, but he gives me more attention." Matthew walked away, realizing that once again he had been used and deceived. He was tired of fake love. After Angela, Matthew tried again with another lady named Yi. She was soft-spoken and seemed different from the others. Matthew believed she was honest. He even helped her with money to start a small business. But instead of investing it, Yi ran away with the money, disappearing without a trace. Matthew felt betrayed once again. When he shared his pain with his mother, she simply said, "My son, you need to find a woman who loves you for who you are, not what you have. You're searching in the wrong places." Matthew knew she was right, but he didn't know where to look anymore. One evening, Matthew sat down with his mother, feeling defeated. "Mama, I'm tired. No woman truly loves me. They only want my money. I feel like giving up." His mother gently held his hand and said, "Matthew, maybe you need to step out of your comfort zone. Disguise yourself, live like an ordinary man for a while, and see who truly cares about you. Wealth can be a curse when it comes to finding genuine love." Her words stayed with Matthew, and he began to think about how to make this plan work. Her kindness was pure, and she didn't ask for anything in return. Matthew began to feel something he hadn't felt in a long time. The other apprentices at the workshop became more jealous as they noticed the bond between Matthew and Caroline. They started spreading rumors, saying that Matthew must be using some charm to get free food from Caroline. "How come she treats him so special? We've been buying from her for years, and she's never given us anything for free." Their jealousy grew, and some of them even tried to cause trouble by flirting with Caroline when Matthew wasn't around. But Caroline remained focused on her work, ignoring their advances. Matthew, unaware of the gossip, continued to enjoy the simple life he was living, slowly getting to know Caroline better. Despite his disguise, Matthew's true nature as a gentleman sometimes slipped out. He was well-mannered, respectful, and always showed concern for others. Caroline noticed these qualities and began to wonder if there was more to him than just being a poor mechanic apprentice. But she never questioned him about his past. For her, Matthew was a good friend, someone she could talk to without any pretense. One evening, Matthew found himself thinking about how happy he was around Caroline. She was different from any woman he had ever met. She had no interest in fancy clothes or expensive gifts. Her joy came from helping others and working hard. Matthew started to realize that he was falling in love with her, but he was unsure if she would feel the same way if she knew his real identity. Matthew was deeply curious about Caroline's feelings. He had grown to trust her, but after so many disappointments in the past, he wanted to be sure that she truly loved him for who he was, not for his money. To test her sincerity, Matthew decided to involve one of his wealthy friends, Larry. Larry was flashy, confident, and had a way with words. Matthew explained the plan to him. "Larry, I need you to pretend like you're interested in Caroline. Try to win her over and see if she falls for the wealth and charm like so many others did. I want to know if she's really different." Larry agreed and started texting Caroline, pretending to be a stranger who had noticed her at the rice stall. He sent her sweet messages every day, complimenting her beauty and offering to take her out.